The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Thank you, Tally Olson. We are back. The Mets in the zone. I'm Ralph Tyko with the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. The two Met mavens are here, Robert Cole and Marty Rose. And we're doing a little sibling action. An old friend of Comfortably Zoned, normally on the Dodgers show, Brother Bernie Rose. How are you?
Good, doing great. Glad to be here.
Not a bad introduction for an old guy, right?
Hey, I turned 70 3 weeks ago. I'm catching up.
You're catching up. Don't catch up too fast. Always stay those 2 years behind, and that's... I mean, we played Go to the Head of the Class when I was 7 years old in your apartment and listened to Barney on his first, playing his first piano notes, chords. I was one of his first audii.
There you go.
So, Marty and I talk about this, Robert too, the age we're at, how it's gone this fast, it is unbelievable. And that we still remember all that stuff. So, yeah,
no doubt.
Glad to be here at any age. And neither of the people on this panel take it for granted in any way that we were given 73 or will be given 85 or whatever. Thankful every day that we're here and just try to have fun and keep making it feel good and stop it from feeling bad.
That's day-to-day has more meaning now, Ralph.
Right, absolutely. Oh, yes. Yes. And it's does it ever. And a segue to the Mets. This is, speaking of day-to-day, unbelievable. Every day there is an injury. Yesterday or the day before, it was Baez. Talk to Robert Cole a little bit. I want to hear your voice.
I'm still in shock from this past week, Ralph. Apparently, we're going to be kept around because the baseball gods aren't done with you, me, and Marty yet. Okay, we haven't been punished enough yet. So,
it was a bad week. I mean, a week and a day. 1-8 or 1-7, whatever it was. Is not going to cut it especially when you're playing the Phillies for first place.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, we were amazed that with this many injuries, they were still in first place. But since then, we've had 2 or 3 others. Guys not healing as fast. Syndergaard, DeGrom may go into late September with DeGrom. I doubt that Syndergaard will be back. I'm just wild guess. But the 2 best pitchers, and it was brought to light when Wheeler did a number on us. Matz did a number on us a couple of weeks ago. We just, you give up, you never know with injuries. And, but Lindor, Baez, McNeil in and out, Conforto playing as badly as he has, J.D.
Davis.
Davis is absolutely cold.
He's still not healthy with his hand. I don't even know why he's in the lineup, to tell you the truth. Well, he actually wasn't in the lineup, but they stuck him in there afterwards. You know, I think when Baez went down, they moved Villar over to short, and they stuck J.D. Davis in. Personally, I would have put in
Drury.
Drury instead, but they didn't. So.
Tell me, whoever knows more about Drury, between you, Robert, and Marty, tell me about Drury.
Okay, well, Drury was a high draft choice of, I believe it was the Rockies. He had a good year. 3 years ago, the Yankees made a trade for him. He was supposed to be their starting third baseman. And in spring training, he started getting migraine headaches. And it took them a while to get that cured. And then he bounced around a little bit. But he's a big, strong guy, as we've seen. He can hit. He can play first, second, third, both corners in the outfield. And at this stage of the game, he's one of the few guys that has been able to hit it all. And yet they don't put him in there every day.
Yeah, he came up very big with a bunch of pinch hits, like all in a row. I think he had 6 or 7 pinch hits in a row. You know, he's hitting .304. He's only a career .250 hitter, but he's hitting .304 this year. And, you know, he's looked real good.
And when we went to the game a week or so ago down here in Florida, he was hitting, you know, over 300, like you said, and he was in the lineup, but he's batting 8th. And you made a comment about that.
I did.
And he had a hit or two, and nobody else was doing a whole lot. You know, it just didn't make sense.
No.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, if I could just say something, because I did a little, you know, statistic work getting ready to come on. And obviously, you know, they're 2-8 in their last 10, but you know, they've only scored 27 runs in their last 10 games. They've only scored 43 in their last 15 when they're 5-10. And so you're not scoring, you're having trouble, and a guy hitting 300, you bat him 8th. No one else in the lineup was hitting 300.
Right.
Quite right.
You know, what are they doing?
Well, now, excuse me 1 second. I want to just ask you guys. Marty made a suggestion the other day that, on the face of it, I thought, "Wow, fire Rojas! Isn't it a little soon?" And what have you? Is it too soon? Marty seems to think that's a possibility. Robert, how about you?
Okay, here's the thing. Okay, he wasn't hired by Alderson and Cohen. Okay, he was part of the old regime. If they don't have any intention of bringing him back, okay, now is the time to get rid of him, if for no other reason, just to try to light a spark in the team. Okay, you know, all you're going to do is promote the bench coach, but sometimes that turns things around. And he certainly hasn't been able to provide a spark right now. He just keeps saying, "Oh, we'll be all right, we'll be all right, we'll be all right." Well, we've been hearing that since May, and for a couple of months they were winning. Now they're not. So, yeah, I think it's a very good possibility, especially since, as Marty calls him, Uncle Steve has been traveling with the team recently.
Right. But I'll play the devil's advocate in this sense. 60 players have played for them this year. 6-0. I can't remember a time. So we're talking major injuries for long extended period. Did Chile need to be fired? And does Rojas need to be fired? Can you blame management for that many? I blame the training staff if you got 7 days and 7 hamstrings pulled. There's got to be a better way of preparing these guys. But to blame management, I don't know.
I'm not saying it's Rosas's fault. Okay, but at this point, if you want to get back in the pennant race, this is a team that looks dead. Okay, there's no life.
That's on the manager. When they're dead, that's on the manager, I think.
Well, let me ask you. Yeah, but let me ask Mert and Marty and Robert this. I mean, because what about the depth? Is there any depth on this team? The Dodgers have had maybe as many injuries as the Mets.
Yeah,
I don't want to get into it.
When all those guys were out, the bench guys were doing the job, and it kept them in the race. Now they're all back, and they're not doing anything.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah.
But of course, you mentioned that. Are they all back?
Yeah.
Are they all back? Baez, Linda, McNeil's been hurt.
Yeah, but they're all playing. I mean, except for Lindor, everybody's back. I'm not counting the pitching, but the pitching is a big problem because you don't have a guy that can pitch more than 5 innings on the whole staff, except maybe Stroman once in a while.
Right.
And the problem too is these guys go out there, and from the first pitch, they're throwing stressful pitches because they can't expect any runs, and you can't get it in a relaxed state. The last couple of starters have been okay. Okay, they've thrown decent games, but when you have to throw a shutout and you don't think you can get any runs, that's very stressful pitching.
Yeah, no doubt.
No question about that. And puts pressure on the bullpen because you're wasting that, 5-inning pitchers. Every night you're wasting your bullpen.
And the bullpen's doing real well.
Right.
Yeah. They are.
Yeah. Let me take my hat off to Diaz a second. That guy's had quite an unexpected comeback season.
Oh, he's had a good year, yeah.
Yeah, but here's the problem, okay, the way he was used the other night. Okay, you don't bring him in when you're behind, okay, like Rojas did in the 8th inning, okay, when you're down 2-0, and then Harper hits the 3-run homer or 2-run homer, whatever it was, and, that put the game away. Okay, it's been proven over and over again that Diaz pitches well when it's a save situation. When he's brought in a non-save situation, he's horrible. His earned run average is something like 4 runs different when he's in a save situation and a non-save situation.
Yep.
It's amazing how that works out sometimes with these pitchers. I never really can understand that, but I guess it's all frame of mind,
Well, that's where coaching can come in handy. Coach a guy out of that. Coach him up. It doesn't matter when runs are scored on the face of it. Too much credit is given to the closer from that standpoint. Although it takes a certain personality to get that 27th out, a certain skill set. So I don't know. If there's 4 runs difference in ERA, you gotta be more than just. It's got to be a mindset that he can be either coached out of or convinced otherwise. Anything good? Let's talk about positive stuff. I still go with McCann as a big surprise. Robert and I talked about him last week while you guys were at an actual ball game. First time in how long for either of you going to a ball game. What with the pandemic, it's got to be a year and a half.
No, Bond was at a Dodger game earlier.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I've gone to 3 games this year, and then after last year, that's amazing. But I took a trip up to Chicago. I don't know if you knew that, and I went to Wrigley for the first time in my life. So I was really looking forward to that. And I saw the Dodgers get beat by the Cubs.
You've been to a number of stadiums. How does Wrigley stand out, Barn?
Well, it was great just to be there. It's really neat. But I also went to Fenway in 2019 for the first time, and I liked Fenway a lot better. It was just magical. And I had a lot of fun with it was different. There was no COVID. I had a lot of fun with the Boston fans. The Dodgers won both games I went to, so it was a whole different scene.
Right.
We went up to Chicago. They rained the game out when it didn't rain. There was a threat of huge thunderstorms coming in, and I'll try to keep it short. So they thought it was going to be really bad, and they canceled the game, and then it didn't rain. And I had to change my flight. I was leaving the next morning, so I stayed, and we went to an afternoon game. The temperature dropped 20 degrees, and it was 48 degrees, and we froze at Wrigley Field. It was miserable. And there was some people there, but there was really nobody there. There was no one around us, so there was no interaction. I froze the whole time, and since there was 2 games that day, it was only 7 innings. Kershaw had the worst start of his career. He was out in his second inning, and they lost 7-1. So it was miserable.
Now, living in Florida, your blood thins, and going back east, northeast, or whatever, that's got to be a bitch, really.
Well, yeah, it was. I mean, we obviously we knew the temperature had dropped when we were going there, but and everybody was saying, bring a jacket, the wind off the lake and all of that stuff. But if we would have played the game the night before, when it was 68 degrees, I'm sure it would have been fine. But
and you'd have been back in Florida that moment.
I would have missed the whole freeze out. But you're right. You're living down here. I'm down here 33 years already.
Wow.
So I'm not cold weather.
Well, Mert, this is 5 years for you. How many years for you, Robert?
I've been down here since '87.
Okay.
Well, there you go. A year before me.
That's it, 33 years.
Yeah. I'll bet you all 3 think the same about your governor.
Oh, God.
Oh, don't even bring him up.
Yeah.
Little Don? Yeah, Little Don.
Yeah.
Well,
Ron Denial. Yeah.
How about school for Evie? Is she going to be masked?
She started pre-K today. Today was the first day of pre-K. And,
all right. They're all masked and stuff?
No, because pre-K, you're 4 years old. I don't think they wear masks until at least 5 years old. So she's not wearing one at the present time. And I didn't ask Mary Kate. I should ask her whether all the teachers have to be vaccinated. I would certainly hope so.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
they're all 4-year-old kids, so obviously none of them are vaccinated. But
Now, our wonderful governor said that if any school mandates, wearing masks, he's going to cut all their federal education money. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, but the way out of that, though, is that if the parents have an option, then they can get away with that. He won't cut the money if he gives the parents an option. So,
all right, well,
a federal judge did rule today against him in this cruise ship thing.
Oh, is that right? Good.
Yeah, temporary injunction. I mean, temporarily he ruled against them, but of course DeSantis is going to appeal. But yes, so there was the Norwegian cruise line that was suing or whatever, brought them to court that they could use the vaccine certificate there to screen the passengers before they got on the cruise. And that's against the law that he signed. But the federal judge ruled for Norwegian cruise lines. And,
good.
So yeah, at least temporarily, we'll see what happens with the appeal.
Crazy. You wonder why elected officials would try to kill off their constituents right before election.
Well, yeah, you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Hey,
it's amazing.
Yeah, he makes sure that they vote early, okay? And then once their vote is in, it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, you think you're kidding?
He's trying to make it harder to vote. So I don't know what his aim is, but we got to get rid of that guy.
Well, I just don't want to see him serving Soylent Green. And
no, it's people. That's a great reference.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, indeed. It's a strange world. We got the Dodger boys here, Marty. So let them talk a little Dodger baseball.
Absolutely.
If that's okay with you.
Sure.
Robert, start with you, Robert. What do you hear? What do you say?
Well, it's interesting, okay, because the Mets are going to be playing the Dodgers the end of this week, and in fact, out of the next 16 games, they'll be playing the Dodgers 6 times, and those are going to be very important games. So, there's a definite correlation, having Barn on tonight because, those are going to be 6 very important games, Mets and Dodgers.
What a producer you guys have. I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. I got a friend of mine, he's a drummer. He's from Philadelphia. Go ahead.
I think that's why Bernie was coming tonight to give it to us about, the 6 games with the Dodgers.
Well, I was thinking about last week, and maybe we can start with that, when you and Marty were together for your baseball game. You got an impression, Barney, of the Mets a little bit. What do you see good, real quick, and then we'll get to the Dodgers.
Well, it's too bad. I was focusing, unfortunately, on a lot of the negativity, looking things up. They were playing great most of the season with all the injuries that they had.
Until you got there.
Yeah, you gave me some shit, or am I allowed to say that, for wearing the Marlins shirt? Or was that Robert?
No.
That was actually Robert, I think.
That was me.
Yeah, but I had to do it, But actually, I rooted for the Mets the whole game. I was there with my bro, and I was a Met fan way back. I mean, they were always my second team, but once they came into being, and we used to go to Shea a lot, and we went to many games, as you know. We used to get in for free, so
yes,
that was a lot of fun. And that, but they were hanging in there, and there was a lot of good happening. Maybe you guys can explain. Is it just the injuries that brought this whole thing on in the last 15 games?
I would say
they have not hit all year. Okay, that's been a problem all year. The pitching has pretty much saved them. They've had a a better than expected defense most of the year, but they haven't hit all year. And now all of a sudden that's catching up to them because, as Marty said, nobody can pitch more than 5 innings. And then you have to bring the relief pitchers in. And like I said earlier, all the pitchers have to pitch under stress from the first pitch because of the lack of hitting. It's been the lack of hitting all year.
Yep.
Okay. On to them bums.
Oh, now are we going to talk Brooklyn Dodgers? Because if we're going to talk Brooklyn Dodgers, that's a whole different story.
Oh, we could have 9 podcasts on each subject. You know that.
We certainly could.
I got one for you, Ralph. Which Barn knows very well. Extra inning games. What's the Dodgers' record? 1-12 in extra inning games. How is that possible?
Whoa.
Yeah, and they're 13-20 in 1-run games, and they've had a lot of games where they just haven't really produced at the plate either. And Bellinger, maybe the last 2 days, maybe he's finally figured it out. But Peter pointed out to me the other night that he had the same shoulder surgery that Matt Kemp had a few years ago, and it took him over a year, really, to get back to normal. And because I was not cutting Bellinger a whole lot of slack. I know he was out 2.5 months or whatever it was when he had a fracture in his leg, but he's just been horrible. But maybe in the last 2 days he had a couple of home runs. Maybe he's found his swing again. But no, they were not hitting in a lot of clutch situations, and they had a ton of injuries. Bellinger was out over 2 months. Seager was out over 2 months, and it was just a revolving door in the lineup, and the pitching staff, has just been incredible. And now Kershaw's on a 60-day DL. They kept saying he's coming back in August. He's not coming back till September. But I will say this, getting Trey Turner, what a move. I mean, just watching him a little bit in the last 2 games is because now Justin Turner is going to be out a few days. Just like Baez, he's day to day. He pulled a little bit of groin muscle there yesterday. So
Trey Turner's been killing us for years. So he's great. He's great.
So what's bad for you guys is Justin Turner probably won't play these 3 games against the Phillies starting tomorrow. But, at least, Scherzer's going to start tomorrow night. That's a huge plus. Because they're really down to 3 starters if you don't count Price, who was in the bullpen all year, and they've turned him into the 4th starter. They started the season with 8 starters. They only have 3.5 starters now. It's incredible. And the bullpen, Robert can tell you, there's been a revolving door of injuries.
Yeah.
But your 3 starters are really good.
They are.
Yeah. They changed the names to protect the innocent. It's the same thing on the Mets as it is on the Dodgers, injury-wise.
Yes.
I mean,
the Dodgers are just a deeper team is the only thing I can say. The only reason they're still 21 games over 500 or whatever it is, 22 games or 21 games, is the depth. They're lucky they have the depth. Or maybe it's not luck. They have a lot of money.
Depth to get to where they are now. They had terrific depth, but even that's going. Guillermo is hurt. Conforto is useless. They should have traded him to somebody who needed a rental. Because
probably nobody wanted him. They probably couldn't make a deal. I mean, he's been horrible since he came back from his injury.
Yeah,
I was going to ask you if he was coming off an injury because maybe it's just one of those situations where you got to give it a little more time.
He's hitting 199 or something like that. Just terrible.
Well, Bellinger's still hitting 170, but you know what I mean? but he hit a home run the last 2 games each, and maybe he's starting to come out of it because he was hitting 150.
That brings me to one of my pet peeves. Oh, he did.
Well, those 3 home runs they got in the 9th inning the other day.
Yeah, on Saturday.
Conforto hit the first one of the 3. Of course, they were losing 5-0 at the time, so they were pretty much meaningless, you know.
That brings me to one of my pet peeves. The peeves about baseball is the disclosure we get as Met fans to injuries. What's happening? Is it the same with the Dodgers, and is it the same with all teams, or is this just a fucking joke? Because we just don't get accurate updates.
Yeah, it seems that it's probably with every team. Robert, I don't know. What do you see with the Dodgers?
Most teams now are pretty closed-mouthed. They're very vague about injuries. Nobody wants to really say whether somebody's, injured or not. Now, my problem with the Mets, as opposed to some other teams, is they keep guys active when they can't play. I mean, there's been a couple of times this year, Marty will remember, where there's only been 2 guys available off the bench.
Yeah. And one of them's a catcher.
Right. And,
terrible.
And
it just seems to me there's a lot of misinformation, Ralph, right? I mean, that's what you're alluding to. For so long. He's coming back soon. He'll be back. He's coming. He's almost ready. Oh, he won't be back for another month. I mean, how long, how many times can they do that?
Well, that's what I'm asking, basically. Yeah. What do you guys find as a plus for the rest of the year? They've got the surprising Giants who acquired Bryant and improved themselves even more to contend with. What do you think? What's your prognosis is? 2 prognosi. What are your prognosis? Start with you, Barn. You see good things happening this year for the Dodgers specifically.
Yeah, all they got to do is get in. I don't want to be a wild card, but I kept saying they're going to catch them. They're going to catch them. I don't know that they've ever played the Giants yet this season, obviously with a healthy full lineup, because they haven't. Even the first half of the season, if Mookie, apparently his hip has been bothering him the whole time, and then right before he re-aggravated it, there was a bunch of games where he was back. If he was healthy all year with all the other injuries, they'd be 4 games ahead, because there was so many opportunities that he just didn't come through for. And then Seager was out, and Bellinger was out, and the lineup was never the same. They get healthy. San Francisco has to play San Diego 9 games in the last 3 weeks of the season. And if the Dodgers stay within 4 games or less, which I would expect them to, but we'll see, in August, they're going to catch them. They're going to catch them. And if they win the division, if they have home advantage in the National League, who's going to beat them if they go into the playoffs healthy?
Very good
Especially
point.
if the Mets don't have DeGrom. I was worried a little earlier on. The Mets were playing so good, and you go against DeGrom in Game 1, you could be in the hole already, But a lot has changed, and who knows what's going on there. Buehler's unbeatable lately in the playoffs, like 3 years already. And he just might win the Cy Young Award with your boy out now,
I think Wheeler's got the head start on that.
Oh, do you? All right.
Yeah, I mean, Wheeler's been lights out, except for maybe 1 or 2 starts this year.
Yeah, that's that, and we're talking off the air a little bit. That and Matt's have me very frustrated. I know that's part of the game. You can only take a chance on so many guys. Payroll is limited, but that's frustrating to see him do well. I wish him the best, health-wise, but he's coming back and biting us in the ass. You mentioned Trey Turner. You're going to be very happy with him. He killed us with Washington, with the Nats. So.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Robert. I don't want to monopolize the whole time. Go ahead.
No.
Well, yeah.
Robert?
I mean, and of course, the Dodgers picked him up just in time to play the Mets 6 more times. So, he gets 6 more cracks. Let me ask, okay? You got 16 games coming up, 3 with Washington, and then 13 with the Dodgers and Giants. Okay, Marty and Ralph. What, at the minimum, can the Mets do? Okay, do they have to go 14-2? Would you be satisfied with 8-8? I mean, what's the minimum and still be in the pennant race, do you think?
Well, I think I'm looking at the next 3 games, and it's very important that we at least take 2 out of 3 to go into the Dodgers and Giants, because Washington
depleted Washington. They're depleted,
right?
Really.
We better win at least 2 out of 3 games, or that's going to be a mindset for them. They're not going to feel good, and that's where managing and coaching comes in. That's where you hope that Rojas is motivated by Uncle Stevie, as Mert says, being there, that he says, what do I have to lose? And I don't like Lindor's chattering. For some reason, a guy who's injured and hitting .219 plays a big part in the lineup with Baez and McNeil and what have you. But I think the manager should be stronger than that.
Yeah, they got Washington, at the end, again, at the end of the Dodger-Giant games, they got another 3 with Washington. Washington's like sandwiched, with the other guys. So, that would be nice coming back to play them again. And, they have to win those games with Washington. They just have to. I wouldn't be,
it's critical.
When what's his name, Joust, the coach, David Joust, I think is his,
Right. Yes.
Well, when he was filling in for Rojas, when he was suspended, didn't they win all those games, or most of them?
Yeah, they did. But that brings up the question: who is managing the team in reality?
That's true. That's true.
So you just don't know. That's what I mean. I mean, if they make a managerial change, Joust will be the guy, no doubt, that finishes the year out. And like I said earlier, for no other reason than just trying to light something under the players. You do that, and either the players respond or they completely drop dead, and, it's all over. So, that's the kind of chance you take.
Well, the irony is the people that are making the decision to fire Rojas, they know how much string he has. So they know how much is on him and how much is on them. So there's an irony there. That's
true. It's not like the manager's making out the lineup by himself every day. That doesn't happen anymore.
No.
But once the game starts, I would assume it's all on him. You know, I don't think they call down to the dugout in the middle of the game. Do they? They don't do that, do they?
No.
Well, it depends.
A lot of it is scripted. Okay. The manager told. I mean, you know, at the third time around, you got to take him out. You know, third time around the order.
That's true.
There's been a lot of speculation out in L.A. about, you know, what was coming from the front office over the last couple of years. But, you know, you got to give the guy, you got to cut him some slack, don't you? I mean, it's he hasn't had, what's this, his first year, right? I mean, so.
Second year.
Oh, all right. But the Mets are, you know, they're negative in the run differential. There's only one team in the East that's plus in run differential, and it's not the Mets. It's Atlanta. Even the Phillies are now in first place by a couple of games, -5.
Atlanta's won some lopsided games.
Which is why they're plus 65, because they're only, they're 500 team.
Yeah.
You know, they lost a couple of guys, too. I mean, but I don't think it's on the level that they had a lot of guys. Freddie Freeman for the first half of the year did nothing, you know. But now he's woke up.
Well, they did lose they lost one of their best guys.
Oh yeah, they lost Acuna. Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, but, the thing with the manager though is, okay, no, it's not all his fault, but the situation the Mets are in right now, they have to do something. You know, I mean, you just can't go the way things are going. This is a dead team, you know, dead team walking right now. And so, like I say, if you want to have any hopes at all, you have to do something. And in a lot of cases, it's not justified, but you do something, you get rid of the manager, and you hope that wakes the team up.
Yeah, but with this, again, I go back to this many injuries, and would it behoove them to keep a guy with the Alou pedigree? He's his son, Felipe's son. To keep a young guy with that pedigree who's been in the organization 5-6 years himself, just for continuity.
But you have to remember, it's a new organization, okay? They had nothing to do with bringing him in. And Steve Cohen came in too late, officially, to really make a change at that late date. And if you're not going to bring him back next year, and I'm sure they've already made a decision one way or the other, and if you've already decided not to bring him back next year, okay, and you have the problems you have going on right now, do it now, like I said, for no other reason than shock value. Now, if you have intentions of bringing him back next year, that's different. But if you already made that decision, and like I said, I'm pretty sure they've already made the decision one way or the other, and you're not going to bring him back, well, then do something drastic, and let's see if that wakes the team up.
Yeah.
That is a good way to end it. Terrific podcast. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Barn.
It was fun. It was a pleasure. Great to be here.
Please come back more often. And Marty Rose, what can I tell you? I think I like you.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Do I know you?
Yeah, I think you do. 65 years ago, 65 freaking years ago, it's a mind fuck. But I must say, it's we've had some laughs and some great times, and what a pleasure it is for me to be in on watching your grandchild grow up. She is just adorable.
Thanks. She is. My great niece, absolutely.
Absolutely. Keeping it in the family.
Yeah.
Robert Cole, Marty Rose, the guest Bernie Rose. I'm Ralph Tyko, the weak link of it all. See you guys. What can I tell you? I cop to the power. I know my place. Thank you guys. You're great. And thanks for listening. I don't mention this quite enough. I hope you will, if you're a listener and you enjoy it at all, take some lightly used or even new children's books, box them up, take them to the Head Start program. Wherever you are, you will help kids by giving them some reading material. They can develop a passion, they can become school ready, and by nature of the beast, these are kids that need it more than the average bear. So on behalf of Comfortably Zoned Radio, maybe have a book drive in your neighborhood. Take books over to Head Start. You'll feel good. I'll feel good. Marty will feel good. Robert will feel good. Barney won't know. We're going to have... So send them an email and have a great week. And let's hope for the best. The Mets have. One of you said it best today. The Mets have an off day. It's good for them and better for their fans.
Yeah, that was me.
That was you.
Yeah, that was me.
Well said. We needed the day off. All right, guys. Talk soon.
Great
Thanks
show.
for listening,
Thanks a lot.
everybody.
Good night.
Be well.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.